The famous English writer William Shakespeare once said, "A fool thinks himself to be a wise man, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool." Centuries later, David Dunning and Dunning Kruger would study this exact phenomenon and uncover something fascinating, now known as the Dunning Kruger Effect. The Dunning Kruger Effect is when people that are really bad at something think that they're actually great at it, whereas people that are actually really good at the given thing often doubt their abilities. Some examples of the Dunning Kruger Effect include people who only cook sometimes but think they could cook like a master chef, people who take pictures on their phone and think they could shoot a professional wedding, people who just got their driver's license and think that they're amazing drivers, and people who've never touched weights before and think that they're going to get too big. In fact, I actually know the power of this effect quite well. So when I first got into combat sports, I'd already been hitting the gym for a while. So I'd put on a couple pounds of muscle, and in my arrogance, I was already thinking that I'd be great at fighting, right? Like every dude thinks this. Every dude thinks that they could just beat up anybody on the street, and they have these crazy visualizations and stuff. But yeah, I decided to get into combat sports, and boxing was the combat sport that I decided to get into. So when I first walked into the gym, I did all my intro classes, right? The coach taught me the footwork and how to throw punches. And at this point, I was like, okay, I'm going to be really good at this because I've already been hitting the gym. I'm a guy who's very in shape, especially for my age and my weight class. And so I was just itching to get in the ring, bro. I knew how to punch and I knew how to move, right? So in my mind, I was like, okay, I know how to punch and I know how to move. What else is there to know about boxing? I know boxing. I can do this. And so my coach obviously knew that I wasn't ready to go into the ring and actually fight someone yet. But I remember this one day after my coach was just explaining some punching techniques to me. And that evening, him and a bunch of the actual fighters from the gym were supposed to go to another gym to spar a couple of the guys and actually fight for real inside of another gym in the ring. And so as soon as I heard about this, my eyes literally lit up. I'm thinking of all the ways I would beat people up if I actually got into the ring and fought these guys. And so in my arrogance, I go up and I ask the coach, can I come with you guys to, spar some guys in the gym? I'll get some experience and, I'll get in the ring for the first time. It'll be great. And, my coach already knows that I'm going to get humbled, but, he's like, yeah, you want to fuck around, you're going to find out. So he's like, yeah, you could come. And so I'm so happy, right? And I call my mom, Mom, I'm going to another gym to spar, so, you don't have to pick me up from training. And I go with my coach and all the fighters in the gym to this other gym. The ride is 2 hours long, right? So I have my headphones in, I'm just playing music, hyping myself up. I'm just thinking, once I get in the ring, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to pull off these crazy moves, right? Because before this, I don't really have any fighting experience. So all my fighting knowledge is just the stuff I've accumulated from movies. You know how you see those fight scenes in the movies and people are just hitting crazy kicks and jumping on people and fighting 5 guys at once? I thought fights actually worked like that because that's all I've seen, right? So we get to the gym, and obviously everyone there is way more experienced than me, right? These guys already have 10, 11, 12, 13 fights, crazy number of fights. These guys are all seasoned killers. Basically, there was no one around my experience level that the coaches could match me up with, right? They're not just gonna send me in like a lamb to slaughter, to die in there, right? So yeah, I'm thinking that I'm not gonna find a match, right? And 1 hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, right? I'm just seeing all these fighters get in the ring and fight. And this whole time, I'm just thinking oh, what are these guys doing? It looks so easy. If I was in there, I would do this and, I would hit this hook or I would hit this uppercut or, do you know what I mean? I'm just thinking what I would do. And I'm thinking yeah, I could do it way better. Just let me in the ring and I'm going to knock some kid out. The coach is going to have to stop the fight and everyone's just going to be shocked. I'm just thinking I'm some superstar in my mind. I'm just thinking all this stuff, thinking that, they're not going to find me a match. And right as the place is about to close, they find me a match, right? They find a dude a couple inches shorter than me, way smaller than me. He's 10 pounds lighter than me, so he's a weight class below me. And I'm thinking oh man, I'm going to kill this kid. They're sending a lamb to slaughter right now. It's this kid can't do anything against me. I'm way bigger than him, right? And I'm in shape. I'm a pretty athletic guy. I've been playing sports all my life. So yeah, I think I'm going to kill this kid. And I go in there, right? And this kid's moving all weird. So I try to throw a combo at him, right? He blocks everything. I'm so surprised. I throw again, blocks everything, right? And what he does at this point is he feints, right? This is what we call a Canelo feint in boxing. Is he feints like this. So he's faking a punch, essentially. He's faking a punch. So I protect my face, right? And in doing that, my liver is open. My body's open. So he rips a really powerful shot to my liver in the first round, super early on in the first round. Oh my God, that hurts so much. If you don't know fighting, by the way, getting hurt in the body hurts way more than getting punched in the face. Like, people don't realize this, but because your bodies were all, especially in the liver, there's a lot of nerve endings there. So for literally the rest of the round, I can't even breathe. I'm in so much pain. Like, I'm just running away from him, like trying not to show that I'm hurt. So I'm throwing like 1 or 2 punches, kind of like, you know what I mean? Just to keep him away, but I'm just running away from this guy. At this point, I'm kind of understanding that the game is not what I thought it was, but I'm still kind of hopeful, like, okay. And what he starts doing is he starts spinning his lead hand like this. He's like rotating it, right? And he moves his hand down really fast like this, right? So I think he's about to punch my liver again. I got punched in the liver the first round. That hurt so bad. So instantly, my hands are up here, right? I drop my hands down to protect my liver, right? So I'm protecting my liver now. And guess what he does? He wasn't actually punching my liver. He was just faking the punch. So as soon as I dropped my hands down, bang, right in the face, right in the face. I was so dizzy. I remember thinking like, yo, like Shay, this dude could actually knock you out. Like, I actually got to be careful. So I'm just running away. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to survive the round. But the point is, by the second round, I've already been humbled. I realized that the game is not what I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought boxing was just punching and moving. I thought I knew it. Because what else could there be? I didn't know there was all this hand spinning shit and like feinting and, do you know what I mean? All this random stuff. Like, I didn't know this. So now this begs the question, why does this happen? How can someone who's literally a rookie think that they're better than a professional? How? Why does this happen? How could I, when I knew nothing about fighting, think that I could take on experts, right? Why do stupid people think that they're smart? Why do stupid people think that they're right when people way smarter than them are telling them that they're wrong? This is because when you first learn something, you underestimate how much there is to actually learn, how deep the rabbit hole of learning something actually goes. And so this is what happens. A little knowledge makes people think that they knew it all. Just knowing how to punch and move made me think that I knew pretty much all of boxing. This phenomenon is actually the essence of the Dunning Kruger effect in psychology, right? So as you can see this graph over here, the x-axis is how good you are at something, and the y-axis is how good you think you are at something. And as you can see, when people just learn a little bit of something, they think that they're actually amazing at it. Their confidence is all the way up here, whereas their competence or how good they are at something is still super low. And as people get deeper and deeper into learning the skill, their confidence, as you can see here, actually drops, right? So this peak is called Mount Stupid, ironically. And I was knocked off of here in the second round of sparring, where I found out that what I was thinking in my mind was not true at all, and I didn't know anything. And once you go deeper, you actually realize how much there is to learn. Like, boxing isn't just about punching and moving. It's about feints, it's about angles, it's about setups and shifts and all of this stuff that I never knew. And sparring is what knocked me off this Mount Stupid and humbled my ignorance. And this doesn't just apply to boxing, right? This applies to everything. Like, for example, when I first got into nutrition, I thought that, calories in, calories out. If you eat more calories than you burn, you gain weight. And if you burn more calories than you eat, then you lose weight. And I thought I knew pretty much all of nutrition, right? I was super over the moon. I was like, okay, I know this stuff. Like, I'm an expert. But when you actually get deeper into it, your confidence drops, right? Because you learn that, okay, your body has certain needs for different vitamins, and there's tons of them. There's vitamin D, there's vitamin B, there's vitamin A, there's vitamin C, there's vitamin K1, there's vitamin K2. And when you first learn about this stuff, you're like, wow, I'm actually really stupid. I didn't know any of this stuff, right? So you think that there's probably way more than I don't know, so your confidence goes down and you realize that you're not as good as you once thought, essentially. And most people fall into this pit on the graph, as you can see here, which is actually called the Valley of Despair, and they quit whatever they were learning. They just quit. But the amazing thing is, if you stick it out, as you can see on the graph, when you keep learning more stuff, your confidence goes back up. That's when you gain true knowledge of whatever you're trying to learn was, right? That's when you actually figure out the feints. That's when you actually figure out what micronutrients are. That's when you actually start gaining real knowledge and complete knowledge of the stuff that you wanted to learn. But one thing that's really ironic is that as your confidence goes up, you can see that even after completely learning it and not even being ignorant, having actual knowledge of the stuff that you wanted to learn, your confidence is still lower than what it was at Mount Stupid, which is really interesting because now it makes sense what people say, that the loudest person in the room is never the smartest person in the room, because the loudest person in the room is loud because they have the most confidence. They think undoubtedly that they're right. But when you have the most confidence, you don't actually have the most knowledge. So the loudest person in the room has less knowledge than the people who are quiet and actually doubt their ideas and question things to learn. Therefore, the loudest person in the room is never the smartest person in the room, as they say. So all of this is to say that the reason stupid people think that they're smart is because they don't know what else there is to know. They don't know what they don't know, and they know what they know. They don't even think there's any more to know, and they don't know the ways, all of the ways, and believe me, there's many. They don't know the ways in which they could be wrong, whereas the smart people do know the ways in which they could be wrong, which is why they kind of doubt themselves, because they know of all the possibilities. And to end off this video, I would like to quote one of the wisest men in history, Socrates, who said, "I know that I'm intelligent because I know that I know nothing." Now, after watching this video on the Dunning Kruger Effect, if you think you know everything about the Dunning Kruger Effect, congratulations, my friend, because you have just fallen victim to the Dunning Kruger Effect. Subscribe.